So thanks for joining me today on another video. I decided to go outside in my backyard, um, to be out in nature and kind of just talk about do a little bit of a story time this time and share my personal twin flame story. So my twin flame story starts with my karmic twin flame. Um, I was in a relationship with my karmic twin flame for about 11 years, which is 11 is a pretty significant number, which I didn't even realize until after the fact, how significant that was. But the thing about karmic twin flames is that and don't get me wrong, these are just kind of labels, and they've just been my experience. So I can't say for sure that everybody's going to experience this the same way that I did. But basically, I was with a karmic twin flame for a very long time, and it really, I didn't realize it at the time that he wasn't my real twin flame. I thought that we had a really special relationship, and there were a lot of similar signs. So with the karmic twin flames, you do find that they have a lot of similar signs as a real twin flame, and the reason behind that is they're meant to feel like real twin flames because you're meant to be in a relationship with them to act as a catalyst for you to grow and learn and expand. And oftentimes they are very painful relationships and very intense, and they can last for different times, I guess, depending on the person. But for me, mine lasted a very long time. And even though a lot of pain came out of that relationship, he had a lot of mental illness and a lot of pain. And I'm really grateful for that relationship because of the things that it taught me. It basically, I had to really take care of myself. I had to learn how to, I had to learn how to be responsible for myself and also take care of another person who had some mental illness. For me, that relationship really was painful, but because of the pain that it put me through, I expanded more than I ever had before. I had amazing awakening experiences. I also proved to myself that I could be stronger than I ever thought I could. I actually I saved his life on a number of occasions. And I don't take that lightly. He did almost die a few times because of his own personal addictions, which were sad, and it's still really sad. He's sober now, and as far as I know, he's doing pretty well. After having been with him during some really intense times and watching somebody go through that and having to go through things on my own, after helping him through those things, it really does, I suffered from some trauma, some PTSD and I don't say that lightly either. It definitely forced me to face a lot of my own inner pain and inner demons and overcome them and work through them. So sometimes, even in the worst, most painful moments, there's an opportunity for growth, there's an opportunity for awakening, and that's what my karmic twin flame taught me, and I am really grateful for that. But I'm glad I was able to kind of move on from that situation. So I did, when I was kind of thinking of how I wanted to share this story, I did want to mention that towards the end of that other relationship, I was kind of in a place where I wasn't sure if I should move on or not. At the time, I still thought that this was a really important relationship, in that I didn't think I would ever leave it. Honestly, I was kind of stuck in it, and I was really unhappy. And my physical health was really suffering from it, and I was kind of stuck in my life. I didn't like where I was working. I didn't like where I was living. I really wanted to travel. I still do. I still want to experience as much as I can. and try new things. And that relationship was just kind of, I was stuck living this other person's life, because the whole time the relationship, and maybe not the whole time, but the majority of the time, that relationship, my karmic twin flame relationship, really was about the other person. It wasn't really about me, because I definitely had to sacrifice a lot for his, for kind of what he was going through in order to help him through that. So, so long story short, with that whole situation, I can go into more detail as to kind of what that was like in my experiences, maybe in another video. But since this is about my twin flame union story, I'd like to let's move on to that. So basically, towards the end of that relationship, I felt like I needed some help. I needed some guidance to know, it's time to move on. I felt obligated to that person. That person was not in a good place, and I felt that I didn't want to just abandon them. But we were growing apart, and we were definitely on different paths. And even though, you cling to something like that, because it's familiar, you kind of, at the time I knew that it was time to move on, but I needed that extra help. So basically I did a little spell. I like to practice magic. To me, it's just kind of putting intention out there. I like to kind of create my own spells and make them my own. So this one I created, basically I just put together a little spell and put my intention out there. And I put the intention out there that if this relationship, if it's time to move on, then I want to make that happen. I wanted to accelerate that process, because I was in a lot of physical pain, and still putting a lot of my energy into this person and not really getting anything back at the time. So that spell worked within like about 2 weeks. He just completely cut himself off from me, and it made it a lot easier to let him go, knowing that he was done, and I was already feeling that way, but not wanting to leave somebody and kind of abandon him. I felt bad, so it kind of allowed me to let go of this person. So basically that was the end of that relationship. And the other part of that spell was also to, and the intention that I put into that spell was also to basically bring to me the right person. I didn't want to attract another person who was like this. I didn't want to bring that energy to me in my next relationship. So basically I put the intention out there, I want this relationship to be over, and I also want to bring the right person. I wanted to bring my real twin flame into my life, pretty much. So 2 weeks later, I think, if even, we ended our relationship. It was an 11-year-long relationship, so of course it wasn't easy, but okay, I just have to pause it for a second, because I'm in my backyard, and just want to make sure. If you see me looking around, it's because I'm just like getting distracted by being outside. So I started dating people, and one of the first kind of semi long-term relationships that I shouldn't even say long-term, it was like a few months. But basically I kind of attracted a person who was very manipulative, again, and I definitely recognized more early on that this person was toxic. This was like a very toxic person, and I think it was an important thing for me to go through ending a relationship like that again. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a relationship. It was more of like a just kind of somebody who I had had multiple dates with, with a course of maybe 4 months, and just kind of recognized right away that this person was completely toxic. I didn't have any feelings like he was a twin flame or anything like that, but I just felt connected to him, and realized pretty early on that this was not something that was going to be positive for me at all. So I was able, by being able to get rid of that relationship, it really proved to myself that I was growing and changing, and that what I was attracting, or rather that I would know if I was going to attract another toxic person into my life. So I was able to cut that out really quickly. And then kind of went on a few more dates and just felt like, what started to happen. Okay, so this is what started to happen is I was dating a few people. I could tell right away, I didn't have that initial spark with anybody. I more so thought of it as, I've been in a long relationship. I'm just going to have fun and just meet new people. I met some very interesting people. I met other like energy healers. I met one guy who was very sensitive and an empath, and had some great conversations. So that was really neat, to just start connecting with people and feel like, hey, like I can do this. I can meet new people and I can connect with people. So it was a pretty awesome experience. Okay, I'm not sure. Hopefully it's not too loud and you can still hear me. But it's a Sunday when I'm filming this, and so I think other people are just doing yard work. Which it's a beautiful day. It's like perfect temperature. It's 72 degrees, I think, and the sun is out. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. So totally understand why other people have the same idea and they want to be outside. Anywho, so okay. What started to happen is I started to see 1111 constantly. And I had been familiar with angel numbers before. I knew that there was some significance to it. I knew that my angels or my spirit guides were trying to talk to me and trying to tell me something, but I didn't realize that it was completely and directly related to twin flames per se. So I started to see 1111 everywhere. I just like constantly saw it. I would see it 11:11 in the morning. I'd see 11:11 at night. I'd see 111 in the afternoon. So it really became like a constant. And I also saw the numbers 555 a lot. And that actually becomes very significant later on for me with my twin flame. So I met my twin flame on an online app. Okay. So rather than message back and forth on the app, we decided we would just kind of meet, have some coffee, which I thought was really nice, and do that. So yeah, so we met on the app, chatted like maybe a few seconds just to kind of figure out where we wanted to meet. And for some reason, it just like naturally, we just ended up going out for coffee. So when we got to this coffee shop, I messaged him, and basically he was already kind of inside and must have seen me kind of come up to the porch, and I just sat outside and kind of waited because I wasn't sure if he was actually there yet or not. I was a little early, but not like super early. So it was kind of like on time. And right on time. So he messaged me and on his phone, text messaged me, and basically we're like, all right, like I'll meet you out in this little park area. So he stepped out on the porch, and he must have already known like I was there. And I basically was just like, oh, hey, Alex. And he turned around, and I swear to you, like the second we met and started talking, I just instantly I just like had this moment of like our eyes meeting, kind of I know it sounds really cheesy, but just like an instant connection. And we thought, I think individually on our own, we thought like, okay, we'll have coffee. It was around noon, I think, when we met up. We were like, oh, we'll have coffee. if we, if everything goes well, whatever, we'll have a second date. But otherwise, like, it's simple, it's quick. Like, you're not stuck a long time having coffee with somebody. It usually doesn't last that long because coffee is pretty simple, short and sweet. Um, but we ended up. So after our first date, we were pretty much smitten. Like, it went so perfectly, and we just instantly connected. Um, it was great. um, Different things started coming up, different synchronicities. We had a lot in common. One of the things was we're both Geminis, which, as you know, Geminis are twins. Um, and we just started finding out that there were a lot of things in our lives that were completely aligned. Um, we we had the same kind of we had the same sense of humor. Another thing that kept coming up is people kept saying we looked alike, which is again another sign of a twin flame. And also our lives were there were just strange things that kind of aligned for us that matched up in our past. We had both come from long relationships and both kind of had the same experiences with them. Um, so very similar things that way. A lot of our eyes are very similar, and that's another sign of a twin flame, that you have very similar eyes. Um, but any one of these signs can be totally different for you depending on who you are. It's all about what resonates with you and what seems right for you. So we basically like, since the first time we met, we were just like inseparable. And about a year or so later, we got married. So it really was like a really instant connection that we knew right away. Now, we're both on a spiritual path. We both complement each other in that way. And I don't want to say that, like, being with your twin flame is completely, and it also depends on when you meet your twin flame, but it's not like completely a breeze, in the sense that you shouldn't stop growing and expanding or challenging each other or mirroring things back to one another. We have a lot of like similar traits, like we're the same person in so many ways. Um, and I think the main difference for me, as far as the karmic twin flame versus your actual twin flame, the difference would really be that, your twin flame should not be abusive to you. And don't get me wrong, I think everybody should make that decision for themselves as to who that twin flame is. And it can change, in the sense that you only, that twin flame soul, um, maybe like me, I thought that I was in a very spiritual relationship until I realized it was more of a catalyst for me to actually meet my twin flame. So you shouldn't necessarily feel that if you change your thought on it, that you made a mistake and that you don't know how to tell these things. You should always use your intuition. Sometimes you are in a relationship and believing that person, even if later on you realize that person wasn't your twin flame, it's totally fine if you thought they were in the moment, because that's what was meant to happen. That's how you were meant to be in the relationship. Is, I know if I wasn't 100% believing that that other person was the right person for me, if I didn't believe that 100%, I probably would have left the relationship before I was able to grow as much as I had, before it had taught me all the lessons that it needed to teach me. So now that I'm in my twin flame relationship, with my husband, like, I know for a fact, I know more than ever that this is my twin flame. And also, I think like the most important thing is that we are like a really strong team and we have a really strong connection. And that doesn't always work out for twin flames. And I know for a lot, it like depends what time of your life you meet your twin flame, because you can meet them um, early on and maybe go through some of the more challenging things together. Or sometimes you go through a dark night of the soul and you go through your return of Saturn, which is, you know, what me and my twin flame went through separately. And then there's like a mosquito. I'm like, please don't land on me. But there's basically, you can go through those things separately before even meeting each other. And I definitely had a lot of signs from my guides. And one of the things that I kept seeing was I kept seeing my twin flame at the moment that we had separated before coming into this lifetime. And I kept having an image of him in that way. And this was like the moment I met him, I started seeing this image of him with light surrounding him. And I just had this sense that this was somebody I had met before. And he was completely familiar and comforting to me. Um, I knew that was symbolic, and that just kept coming up for me. Um, the other thing that I did do kind of in the beginning, because I was like, this can't be true. Like, is this really my twin flame? I thought that I already had met my twin flame and we're in separation or something like that. But I realized another thing is that your twin flame, this resonated with me from somebody else's website, and that is that your twin flame should not be abusive, like I said, and also they're not narcissists. So if you're entering into this life, um, and maybe this message does not resonate with you, and you're saying, no, you know, I know who my twin flame is. That's okay. That's important for you to go with that intuition. I don't encourage, I wouldn't encourage anybody to be in an abusive relationship, regardless of whether they're your twin flame or not. But if you still believe, even though you know, I'm saying kind of like your twin flame would never be a narcissist, if that doesn't apply to you, I think you should go with your intuition. That's kind of number one for me whenever I think of guidance. Go with your spirit, go with your higher self. But if this resonates with you, I read this in somebody else's twin flame blog, and they said your twin flame is never going to be a narcissist, and that is when I realized, like, oh, I was not in a twin flame relationship. That was a karmic twin flame, because your karmic twin flame most likely will be somebody who has these kinds of issues and problems. Um, so anyway, I basically what I did, and you can try this too if you're not sure if this person is your twin flame or not. What you can do is you can uh, basically ask for three specific signs from the universe over the next 3 days. And you might want to write this out, but it's basically you're putting an intention out to get an answer from your higher self in a very clear way. So, what you can do is basically write down on a piece of paper exactly what you want to see. Um, as like a sign, and it can be anything. It could be something symbolic to you. It could be like 1111. It doesn't have to just be numbers. It could be something that's even more specific, like I want to see three like red balloons over the next 3 days. For me, what I did as an example is I said I would like to see twins. I want to see twins over the next 3 days, and if I see them, then or basically like if that comes up for me, then I'm going to know that this is my twin flame relationship. And I guarantee you it came about in like the funniest of ways. But like I kept seeing twins everywhere. I kept seeing the word twin. One of the funny things is I worked in a admissions office where we had visitors coming in daily, and my friend, this was like the first day I saw two examples of twins, but I think they showed me two examples because, like, the first one kind of didn't match my criteria exactly, but it was pretty funny. So my friend, she came in and she had just given a campus tour, um, to a family. And when she was describing the family to me, she said, "Oh yeah, and they had these, and they had two twin little girls. Their daughters were twins." And I was like, "All right, all right, that's my first day. This is the twins." What was funny is the whole time I was sitting at my desk, I kept having the urge. I was like, I should go downstairs because I bet there are twins downstairs. I had this feeling and I just didn't. But the universe like told me anyway, brought it to me anyway, and let me know. And then a couple of times, what was funny is uh, two people came to work either the second day or the third day. They came to work and they were twinning by accident. They had worn, and we had like a big office meeting, and basically everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're twins! They're twinning today." Um, so yeah, so that was just like another really funny one, but and it didn't stop from there. Like I kept even after the 3 days, like I kept seeing things, just constant reassurances that this was really my twin flame relationship. So yeah, so that's my story. I think um, after that first date, we couldn't stop seeing each other, um, and we just like instantly felt this connection. And even when I didn't go into it thinking this is my twin flame, but even after I kind of mentioned it to him after a few days, I was like, there's this thing, because he wasn't even familiar with what twin flames were. And I was like, there's this thing that these twin flame relationships that happen. And I kind of described to him, and he was like, oh, yeah, that's us. So I was like, okay, I thought so too, but I didn't, I didn't want to assume anything. Um, but yeah, so it's been over a year now, and we've just hit it off completely. We purchased a house. We have this beautiful forest behind our house right now, and things are just coming into alignment. So yeah, if you want to hear more about my thoughts on twin flames, or have questions, let me know in the comments down below. If you're interested in hearing more about spiritual things, my spiritual experiences, and paranormal stories too, then subscribe, and also let me know kind of what you are interested in hearing about in the comments down below. And of course, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. That would just let me know if I'm doing the right thing and if I'm getting this channel correct, or if I'm telling the story the way I should, and if you enjoyed it. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll tune in for my next video. I'm thinking maybe it'll be a paranormal story time type video, because I personally love those videos. I am obsessed with watching them. I have a ton of paranormal stories that I kind of share with people, but I haven't shared them on my channel yet. Just getting started. But so yeah, so let me know to give it a thumbs up if you would like to hear some paranormal story times uh, at my haunted house that I grew up in. Yeah, or just let me know what you are interested in. Thanks so much for watching again. And there's acorns falling around. I think that's a good sign that maybe I should go before one falls on me. Um, so, anywho, that's my twin flame story. Also, I'm curious to know your twin flame stories, or if you've met your twin flame, or any questions that you have about being a twin flame, if you believe that you are one. And kind of what are your thoughts on karmic twin flames? Like, do you think they exist? Have you had a karmic twin flame? Um, or do you know of somebody? So yeah, this is a conversation that I think is really interesting, and I was on the fence. I didn't know if the twin flame thing was a real thing until I finally met mine, and there were some crazy synchronicities around our relationship from the very beginning. So that's it for now. Thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.